Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to grade 4 coding. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Mike Geldenays. Many of you just call me Sir or Mr. G. I think we're going to have fun again today. So today we will focus on conditionals. We're going to do part 2 of our while loops with the farmer. Okay, so yesterday we just started out with our while loop. And I think it went pretty well, but we just got into the while loop and our time ran out. So I hope that we can finish that one today, and it's Friday. So I hope you guys have some plans for the weekend, maybe relax a little bit, get outside in nature and have a nice break from school. Okay, guys, so I'm going to ask you guys some questions. Remember, I like to see if you guys can recall our vocabulary, and I'm just going to run through one or two things before we actually get coding. Okay, so because there are always more than one aspect of any subject that we have to understand. So the vocabulary and the terminology is also very important. So we have to make sure that it is something we know as well. Okay, so let's move on to our second slide. So remember, like I said, our objectives for this lesson is to distinguish between loops that repeat a fixed number of times and then loops that repeat as long as a condition is true. Okay, use a while loop to create programs that can solve problems with an unknown value. Okay, remember, it is if we don't know how many times a certain action needs to be performed, we will use a while loop. So while that condition is true, it will keep going until it is finished or until there's nothing more to perform. Okay, so let's quickly look. Who can tell me what is coding again? Somebody who wants to tell us what is coding? What is coding? Anybody want to tell us? There we go, Zoe. Zoe's hand is up. Zoe, I'm going to unmute you. Yes, Zoe, tell us what is coding?
Coding is when you give a person or a computer certain instructions and they have to do it.
Okay, wow. Thank you very much, Zoe. Well done. Yes, guys, we're going to give instructions. This is our language. What we use to talk to the computer and to the programs. Okay, thank you. Yes, so it's coding or programming, the process of creating instructions for the computers using programming language. Well done, guys. Sequencing is our next word, I think. Let's see. There we go. Sequencing is our next word. Who thinks that they can tell me what does sequencing mean? Who thinks? Kingsley has got his hand up, so let's see. Kingsley, what is sequencing?
Sir, it's not an answer, it's a question.
Okay, yes. What's your question, Kingsley?
Sir, can we play when you're doing that coding game? Can we also do it on our laptops?
You can, yes.
Okay, yes, sir.
Okay, so you will see if you use a different laptop and you are not connected to Zoom, where you can just copy the link, you'll see the last couple of letters of the link I post. I'll show you a bit later. Is a bunch of capital letters. You can go to code.org and then sign in. Then you will just use those capital letters to type it in, and it will take you to the same place. Okay, so sequencing, let's see. I'm going to go. Sequencing is the process of combining things in a particular order. Okay. Let's quickly see what other words we've got. We've got a condition. Now, who can remember what is a condition? I actually don't want to spend too much time, so I'm actually going to run through this with you, and then so I can ask you guys some questions while we code. So a condition, you have to remember, it is a statement that a program checks to see if it is true or false. Okay, so if true, the action is taken. Otherwise, the action is ignored. Okay, so that is if we tell the computer to do something, and the computer will keep doing that until something changes. Okay, and remember with our coding program, we had to fill some holes, or we had to remove some piles of dirt. So it will continue filling the hole until it is level, or it will continue take away the pile until there's nothing left. Then we have a loop. A loop is the action of doing something over and over again. Okay, so in our coding process, we can decide how many times we want to repeat that loop. And that is where our normal loops and our while loops are a little bit different. With our normal loop, we assign a certain number, and our while loop will continue to repeat while a condition is true. Okay. So here's just our purpose. Why do we use while loops? When we come across problems where a command needs to be repeated, but it is unknown how many times it needs to be repeated. Okay? While loops are loops that continue to repeat commands while a condition is met. Okay, so I hope everybody understands that, but I'm sure you do, because I don't think we have any new students today. So all of you either joined us yesterday or the day before. So this is what our while tab looks like, or our while block. And one thing we have to take note of is you will see while, and then it gives a command or a statement, while there is a pile. Okay, now that could be anything. It is while there is a hole, or maybe if we did a different program, while there is cake, do eat it. Okay, so it depends on what the statement tells us, and then we will decide what we want to do with it. Okay, and it will keep doing that until it is finished. Okay, yes, and I saw a comment by Zivan in the chat box. He says, while and pile rhymes. That's very funny. Yes, it does, it rhymes. Okay, so while condition blocks, the code in a while condition block runs while a condition is true. It will continue performing the command until it is no longer true. Okay, so let's go to, there we go. Let's go to code.org. Give me a second or two. I just quickly want to switch screens so you guys can see what I do, and then I can share the link with you. There we go. Yesterday we were busy with this puzzle, so I want us to continue with that because we rushed through it a little bit. So if you guys finished it, well done. But I do know some of you weren't here yesterday, so I would like to go through it again. And then there we go. There's the link for everybody if you want to go to exactly where we are right now. Okay, and remember our 4 areas. We've got our play area, our instructions that we have to follow carefully, our toolbox, and our workspace. Okay, so let's look at our instructions for this puzzle. Look at all those holes. Each one needs a different amount of dirt. You can use the while loop to fill each, to easily fill them all. Okay, so yes, we can write a long code filling each one and repeat because we know how many there are, except for this last one. But to make it easier, remember what I said yesterday. The first thing we always do with code, if we want to perform something, is we try and just perform the first action. Okay? So the first action will just be to move forward. Move forward. And then we are going to fill the hole. Now, we could have just said filled 3 times, but we are going to practice with our while block. And while there is a hole, now look at the drop-down arrow. There are some other options in here, but we're not going to use those right now. So while there is a pile, while there is a hole, or path ahead. And I'm sure throughout the lesson, we might have to change between those as well. So we always have to just read our instructions to find out what we need to do. And we are going to fill it. Okay. And then we are going to move down to the next block and turn. And then we will be the exact same position that we are in now. We will be facing the same way. We will be standing in front of a hole, and we might just do the same thing over. But remember, the spot we are standing on now, there isn't a hole. So maybe we'll fill this one as well. So while there is a hole, let's fill it. Oh, we have to move down first. We have to turn, and we're not going to turn left, remember, we're going to turn right. And we're going to move forward. And then once we stop, we are going to turn left. So let's see if we can fill those two. Let's see what happens if I press run. There we go. We've got, there we go. So that first part of the code takes me from this little block where I was standing, 1 down, and then it looks exactly the same as what I just did. So now we can think, we can do this again, and then I'll be standing there, and 1 more time. So we can take all this and put it in our repeat block. So now we just have to count. How many times are we going to repeat this? There's 1, 2, 3 times. So let's change that, and then we'll see. Do you guys think that this code is going to work? What do you think? Yes or no? What do you guys think? Will this code work? We've got Zivan says yes, he thinks it's going to be he thinks it's going to work. Anybody else? You think there's going to be a mistake somewhere? Let's run it and see. Let's reset quickly. And then let's run. There we go. Almost there, almost there. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. All the way done. There we go. Okay. That worked out nicely. So with the next puzzle, I'm going to actually ask you guys to help me out. Okay, now that you have an idea of what we need to do, let's just quickly see what tip they give us. You'll need to use the while path ahead block in order to solve this puzzle. Now, I want to show you guys something quickly because this one is a little bit more tricky. And that is why they tell us we're going to use the while path ahead. Now, you can move forward, move forward, move forward as many times as you want or repeat. But look at how many blocks they give us. They only give us 6 blocks to complete this whole puzzle, okay? Only 6 blocks. So, but at least they've given us something to help us start with, okay? While path ahead, do move forward. So let's quickly just test and see what happens if we run this code. Now look what happens. You can see the little guy down here. He keeps moving. While there is a path, he will move. He checks and then he moves. He checks and then he moves. Now look at that. He gets to the end and then he stops because there is no more path for him to move forward. Okay, so we know now that we can use that one block while path ahead, and our little guy, if we want him to move in one direction, he will keep moving in that direction until he hits something, and then he will stop. Okay, so who thinks that they can tell me what do I need to do next? Remember, we have to look at our instructions, fill in the holes at the end of each path. Okay, so we have to make sure that we fill all holes on the path. Okay, I see Nokwanda, she says fill, and then we have a couple of hands up. Let's see. Okay, let's go to, I think Zivan's hand was up first. Yes, Zivan, what can you tell us? How can we go ahead?
The while path ahead inside a repeat 4 times.
Okay, but remember, what do we have to do as well?
While there is a hole, fill 1.
Okay, so let's quickly get that. While there is a hole, because remember what I mentioned to you guys the last time. We try and perform one action first. So he moves all the way to the end and then he fills a hole. So let's change it over here. While there is a hole, fill. Okay. And then in this one action, what can he do as well? Before we put anything else to see, what would he need to do before we can put everything in a repeat block?
Turn left.
Turn left. There we go. Well done. Yes, he needs to turn left. So let's just quickly check if this first action gets performed all the way to the end. And then thank you, Zivan. And then I'm going to try your repeat block. How many times do you say we have to repeat the action, Zivan?
4 times.
4 times. Thank you, Zivan.
Bye.
There we go. So we can see our Laurel, or our farmer, this is not Laurel, sorry, our farmer went from the left to the right and filled the hole in one path. Now, if we look at the screen, we've got one path over here, one path over there, 3 and 4. So that's why Zivan said we can just use our repeat block and put everything inside our repeat block. And we've got 4 paths. Because remember, our farmer is going to do the same thing. He's going to move while there is space, and then he is going to fill the hole, and then he's going to turn. She's going to turn. I think maybe it's a girl. She's going to turn and then do the same thing. So let's reset and run and see if Zivan gave us the right code. Okay, we did. Now I want to go back one spot, because, go back here because I want to show you guys something. Over here, there we go. That is what I wanted to show. Nkwanda said that we used 7 blocks. There we go. That is what I wanted to show you. We used 7 blocks. So how are we going to use this? Let's reset. Sorry, let's reset. How can we change this code to only use 6 blocks? Because they show us in the workspace over here, they only want us to use 6 blocks. So what do you guys think? How are we going to move? How are we going to change our code to only use 6 blocks? Let's see, who can tell me? I see Kingsley got his hand up. Kingsley, do you have an idea for us? How are we going to change it?
No, sir.
Not. Okay, not a problem. I saw your hand. Let's see who else has got their hand up. Nkondwa, I'm going to unmute you. What plan do you have for us to...
Sir, we can use a repeat 2 times for where there is wild path ahead, move forward. We put a repeat there.
We're going to put a repeat there. But remember, that is a wild path ahead. We're already moving 4 times. So if we put one more wild path, then it might stop us, remember? Because we're already moving 4 times.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's see. I've got Zivan also. He's also got his hand up. Zivan, do you have an idea?
Take away while there is a hole.
Take away while there is a hole. Okay, and why do you say we have to do that? Remember, you have to explain to everybody.
Yes, I can't see the numbers, but I remember when my dad still taught us. I went ahead and I saw
there we go. Okay, very nice. Well done. Thank you, Zivan. Now, guys, remember what Zivan said. Okay, we are only going to use the while path or while there is a hole if we don't know the numbers. But here we know the number. There's only 1. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to throw away the while there is a hole because we don't need it. We just need fill 1. Okay, so we just need fill 1 and then turn, and look at that. We only have 6. But I want to encourage you, even if you use more blocks, that's okay. Solve the puzzles. The more we practice, the better we will become at spotting these things. Okay, remember here, look, I want to show you. There's a number 1 at that hole. And we only need to fill it once. And the while there is a whole block will take up 1 more space, but we don't need that because it is not unknown. We've got a little number 1, and each hole we will only need to fill once. So that is why we take away the while path ahead. And let's run it again quickly. There we go. That's 2 times. Repeat 3rd time. There we go. And then the last time. And look at that. We've completed our puzzle in only 6 blocks. Okay, let me just, because I saw somebody left, I think it was Kingsley, and he's back now. I just want to paste the new link for you guys. Ooh, there we go. I posted it to him privately, but let me just put it in for everybody. Okay, now this is a challenge puzzle. Now, normally our challenge puzzles are a little bit more difficult, but I'm sure we can do this together. So I want you guys to look at the code, and when I ask, just type for me. Now, remember, in our code, let me make this a little bit bigger. We are not just going to be able to fill. We are going to use the while, because look at this. 3 of our holes have question marks. So we don't know how many times we're going to need it. They're giving us 7 blocks to complete this puzzle. And remember, it will always show 1 in the beginning because we have to use the when run button. Okay. So let's quickly ask ourselves, what would be the first thing we need to do? Let's just focus on the very first step. What's the first thing we need to do? You guys can just type for me in the chat box so I can see everybody's on. What's the first thing we need to do? While path ahead. Okay, we can use the while path ahead because we see that the spaces in between the other holes are getting further and further. So yes, let's use the while path ahead. And then what are we going to do if there's a path ahead? We need to what do we need to do with the path ahead? We need to move forward. There we go. Thank you, Nkwanda. We need to move ahead. Okay, and then what are we going to do, guys? So we move ahead, and then it will leave us right on that block. What's our next step? What are we going to do, guys? Quickly tell me. I see everybody's putting their hand up. I want you guys to type for me. I want you guys to get used to it because I know you guys can type this because at least the words are there as well. So you know, if you don't know how to spell something, at least it's there. So you can just copy it. So while there is a hole, wow, there we go. While there is a hole, what are we going to do with the hole? We have to fill the hole. So let's quickly see. There we go. Let's see. Let's just run step by step, just our first part. So step 1, while there's a path ahead, move. While there is a hole, fill. So our little guy will fill the hole 2 times, 3 times. Okay. And then what are we going to do next? Before we repeat, we need to do one more thing. Let me put a repeat in and I'll quickly show you what will happen because there's one more action we have to do before we can repeat. Let's put that in. And I think Kingsley said 3 times. Let's reset and run. There we go. We're going to move. Everything works fine. And then it's going to repeat. Remember now our code wants to keep moving while path ahead. But there is no path ahead. There we go. I see Nkonda, Zoe, Kingsley. Everybody said, yes, we have to turn right first. We have to turn right. And then we're going to try again, because then we are going to repeat. But I think there's going to be one more mistake. I want you guys to tell me what is going to be the mistake. But let's run it and see what happens. Okay. There we go, moving forward, filling the hole. There we go. I think Zivan picked up the error. Move. That's already 1, 2, 3 times. And now, what now? our little farmer is stuck. She's not quite there yet. Now remember, when we write code, there are 3 questions we have to ask ourselves, okay? The first question is, what happened? Okay, and we can see she's stuck in the middle of nowhere and there's no more code. Second question we ask ourselves is, what was supposed to happen? Okay, and then she was supposed to fill 3 more holes. Okay, and then the third question we ask ourselves is, what does that tell us? That basically all it tells us is we have to repeat the action 3 more times. Okay, so like Zivan said, we will change from 3 to 6. We will reset, and let's run it again and see what happens now. That's once, twice, 3 times, 4. Look, she's looking for a path. She's keeps going. 5. And then here's our last repeat. Repeat 6 times. She'll move until there's nowhere else to go. And then fill the hole. And we finished our code. Well done, guys. I love it when we debug codes like this. Okay, so let's move on. Puzzle number 10 or puzzle number 11. Puzzle number 11. Let's make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see. Now over here we don't have holes. We have flatten all these piles using as few blocks as possible. Using as few blocks as possible. So basically we're going to do the same thing we did in our previous puzzle, and we are just going to change the command. But remember, what we always do is we try and complete the first step or the first action first. Okay, so who can quickly tell me what will be the first command we will give the farmer? What will be the first command we will give the farmer? While path ahead. Beautiful. While there is a path ahead, what are we going to do? We are going to move forward. Okay, well done. Yes, Wanda and Zivan said, and yes, we're going to move forward. And then when we get to the pile, luckily here, what are we going to do then? Yes. Let me see why. Zivan said we're just going to use remove 1. Why are we going to do that? And why are we not going to use while there is a pile? Why will we just move? Very nice, Nokwanda. Also said just remove 1. Because guys, we know the number. So we don't need to use an extra block. We can just use remove. There we go. Zivan also said there's only 1. Remove, and then what can we do next? We can turn left. Okay, so let's test that. See if our first part of the code works nicely. There we go. Now we know that, okay, everything works fine. Now she just needs to do the other path, the 2 other paths as well. So let's see a repeat. And remember, we count the first one as well. So we'll see there's 1, 2, 3. And we'll repeat those actions. 3 times. I love it when you guys interact. Reset. And let's run it. Two times. And then here comes our last one. There we go, code complete. Puzzle 12, we've got 2 puzzles left. Okay, now this one is a little more difficult, but there we go. And Zivan says he's starting to type better. That is nice because I want you guys to type. Remember, coding is a lot of typing and a lot of using your mouse. Okay, I want to show you guys one thing. I'm sure teacher Paul, when he taught you guys, showed this to you as well. But I want to show it to you quickly as well, just to, let me just put in all this. I'm not trying to write code now. I'm just quickly putting a whole bunch of blocks in because I want to show you something. You might ask, Teacher Mike, where are we going to use this kind of coding ever? And this is a nice foundation because, guys, this is built on JavaScript. Now, if you ever want to see the script, you'll see right here on the side, there is show code. Okay, and if I go there, then you'll see. Even top universities teach block-based coding. But under the hood, the blocks you have assembled can also be shown in JavaScript. Now, JavaScript is one of our computer languages, and JavaScript is also the world's most widely used coding language. So here you have an idea of what it will look like, okay, if you use JavaScript. So this is a good foundation for us to start our coding journey. So let's just remove all this and then go into our code. Remember, we just try and do the first step. Now we can see that there will also be a repeated pattern. If we can move our farmer from this corner to this corner and facing to the right, we can see that there's going to be a repeat again. She can just follow the same path, okay? And here they just want us to flatten all the piles using as few blocks as possible. Okay, so let's perform our first action. Who can tell me what are we going to do? I'm going to, while path ahead, do what? What are we going to do? Move forward. There we go. We're going to move forward. Okay, and then after we've moved forward, remember we have to, let's use that to read our instructions. Flatten all these piles. So while there is a pile, now because we are going to use the while button because we don't know the number over here. So we will use while path ahead, but remember we have to change that while there is a pile. While there is a pile, remove. There we go. And then we are going to turn left and move all the way up there. Okay, so while path ahead, move. And there's one more thing. While path ahead, move forward. While there's pile, remove, turn left. And then we're going to move again. And then we have to do one more action to stand in the exact same position that we are here. What are we going to, before we repeat, Kingsley, there's one more action because remember we moved up Now we are going to face that direction. What do we have to do to face, to be in the exact same position? Before we repeat, guys, there's one more action we have to do. There we go. We have to turn right. We have to look in the right direction to turn right. And then we can use our repeat button. And we are going to repeat it 3 times. Let's put all of this inside our repeat. And look, we are inside our 10 blocks. And let's run it quickly. That's once. Ooh, I've never changed how many times. I said 5 times, but you'll see what happens now. So it will run perfectly. It will run perfectly. And then she's going to try and walk up, turn. Nothing is happening. She's just turning in circles. But luckily for us, it still accepted the code. If we wanted to fix that, we can just go back, change it to 3 times, but it didn't do anything to our code. Okay, guys, and that will be the end for today. So let me just quickly go back to, you guys can do lesson number 13 by yourself, and then you can send it to me on email. I'm going to type my email address in the chat box, so you can just copy it. That's mgeldenase81@gmail.com. And then let me quickly go back to my slides. Okay, and then I want you to copy that. I gave this one out yesterday as well, but I know some of you weren't here. So this is a nice, difficult puzzle. You can use those commands, move. You can move forward, turn left or right, fill, remove, repeat, and then use your while button. Okay, so take a picture and then send your code to me on email. Okay, and then I hope to see you guys back on Monday. Have a nice day, and I'm going to leave you with this quote from the guy that started Apple. Everyone should know how to program a computer because it teaches us how to think. Bye-bye, guys. Have a wonderful weekend. See you on Monday.